Thanks for staying up later. We're with Paul McCartney on November 18th at Carnegie Hall. American audiences will get their first live look at Paul McCartney's Liverpool oratorio. And they tell me that you had some interest in work of this kind, dating back even to the Eleanor Rigby days, that this notion was knocking around in your head.
Yeah, well, you know, in the early days of rock and roll, I first heard the Drifters, and Save the Last Dance for Me, and there were these strings on there, you know, this kind of crossover thing starting to happen. So when we got to the Beatles, we kind of wanted to take that idea a little bit further, so we often worked with classical musicians, like on the Eleanor Rigby thing or on Yesterday. It's a string quartet. On Penny Lane, there's like a little classical piccolo trumpet. And it was always good fun working with these guys, you know. It was different from the people we normally worked with, and they're very skillful. So you just kind of say, could you play this very silly high note and hold it a long time? I said, sure. It's nice to get that kind of an answer, you know. So it was always fascinating, and I eventually got this offer 2 years ago to really go and do, you know, have a ball with these people.
Given who you are, obviously you could have attracted just about anybody, but you made a conscious decision not to go with big names, not to use a Pavarotti, not to use Aretha Franklin, who was suggested from a different direction.
That's right. Well, Aretha was one of our first thoughts, but as we started writing it, it went away from Aretha's kind of thing. The funny thing about the Pavarotti thing was I asked Carl, who I worked with, you know, who were the best people to work with, and I said, who's the best soprano, who's the best tenors? And he told me that the best tenors were Spanish guys, you know, mainly, or Italian or whatever, Pavarotti, you know. And because this is supposed to take place in Liverpool, and whoever it is has got to say, and so it was, I was born in Liverpool, we used to laugh at how it would have sounded, you know, with this sort of, and so it was, I thought I was born. You know, it's like, can't do it, there's going to be too much accent there, you know.
Yeah.
So we had to shy away from that. But I did try and use the very best people I could, but I didn't actually know who were the best people in the classical world. So I just said to Carl, he said, how are we going to cast this? I said, well, who are the best people? He said, well, sopranos, probably Kiri, you know. And then we went through it. He said, bass, there's a very good bass, there's a very good guy called Willard White. And we went through it like that till we got to the Spaniards, and then we said, well, we've got to have somebody who hasn't got so much an accent. And then Jerry Hadley was mentioned. And I met Jerry, and he was great. He was like very committed and a great guy, and he sings it great.
Hello, I'm Robert Klein. Stick around for the next hour, and I'll introduce you to some of the most exciting people in the world of arts and entertainment.
You know, memories, when they actually happen, are fleeting. But once they get lodged in there, it hasn't gone. It stays, you know. So for me, when you ask me about memories of Liverpool, as each little day happened and as each little week happened, or going to school or meeting somebody or doing this, it was fleeting at the time, but by now it's a huge body of memories. In being asked to do this classical work for the Liverpool Orchestra, I drew on that pool of memories, really, which there are lots of them, and they're, by now, I say, they're not fleeting anymore. They're very fixed now, and they're very concrete. It's what I remember from Liverpool. It's the emotions that I feel when I think about Liverpool. It was nice. How we did it was the guy I was writing with was called Carl Davis. He's a New Yorker. I've been living in London for quite a while now. And he said to me, "Tell me about Liverpool." So I said, "How long have you got?" I had to keep going for weeks on that subject.
Are you having a good time? Get back to where you once belonged. Get back, oh get back to where you once belonged. Get back!
I think the movie is a record of what turned out to be a very successful tour. So I think it's interesting to see it from that point of view. I think also it's Richard Lester's perspective of what's been going on over the last 20 years. So it has a kind of a message as well. I think it's interestingly intercut. So I think, as you suggested, it kind of has also another slight feeling of like an art film. So I think, you know, it works on a few levels. And I think basically it's a kind of enjoyable evening out, you know, and that's what you want when you go to a film.
And it seemed that the most important thing would be to try to attempt to shoot a kind of love story, which was Paul and his band, Paul, the band, and the audience, and how they performed for each other.
This band is a really good band. They can play. That doesn't half help. They're nice people, so that really helps too. What's the best about